Hey there, I'm going to do a video today on PTSD or post-traumatic stress disorder. Now, I'm going to go over a symptoms page on the NHS and then also treatment, and maybe talk a little bit about my own experience and why I think I might have PTSD and what I've done to try and help treat that. Now, I haven't been formally diagnosed, but I was having flashbacks, etc., quite frequently. So I decided to look into the symptoms, and then I decided I had it, or thought, at least try the treatments for it, which was one of them was CBT, and I tried that, and I do feel like I had some really good success. So I'm just going to go through the symptoms list, relate it to my experience as well, give you an example, and I guess you can kind of ask yourself whether you have these symptoms. And I'll put the links below so you can go along with me if you want, or you can give it a read yourself. So the first one is re-experiencing. So this is talking about flashbacks, nightmares, repetitive and distressing images or sensations. I suppose it's a bit like when in the films you see people who've been in the army, having flashbacks of their combat. For me, it was my sister and I were exposed to some really graphic and violent and horrendous scenes growing up. I don't want to go into the level of detail because I don't know if this will get taken down, but it was graphic and violent a lot of the time. And I kind of live in flashbacks almost every day, non-stop. I just can't get the thoughts out of my head. It's just constantly tormenting me. And I'm living in those flashbacks all the time. So I see graphic images daily. I would think that's what I have. You might have flashbacks. I don't know. I guess it varies for different people how often and how severe it can be. But if you're reliving the situation again and again, it's probably PTSD. So the next is avoidance and emotional numbing. Now, I'm one of the most not emotional people, but I like to explore my emotions, so this isn't me. But I guess if you're suppressing your emotions, not really addressing what you feel, this can cause problems in the long run because, you might blow up one day or just not address things that need to be addressed. My sister's like this. She will not want to address her feelings. I think she hasn't really processed what's happened to us. And I probably haven't fully processed it either, but that's another symptom in case you might be avoiding those emotions or trying to not feel anything at all, just because you don't want to feel bad again. Next is hyperarousal, feeling on edge. I'm very much like this. I'm a bit manic. I can't switch off. And even when I'm really exhausted and tired, I kind of just run myself into the ground. And I'm very on edge. I have a hair trigger temper a lot of the time. It's just terrible. So I very much try to manage that. And the hyperarousal often leads to irritability, angry outbursts, insomnia, difficulty concentrating. I have that all the time, like a racing mind. I'm just on edge, and I do whatever I can to calm myself down. CBT is good. Exercise can help a little bit, but if it's in your mind, it's a bit more difficult. I like being creative. That can help. I don't think there's any one answer fits all for that. But we're talking about treatments after. So other problems include self-harming or destructive behavior, so drug or alcohol abuse. I've definitely abused, mainly alcohol before and whatever I can just to suppress those feelings. They've got depression, anxiety, other physical symptoms such as chest pain, dizziness. I do get chest pain, but I don't know if that's related. PTSD in children, pretty similar symptoms, nightmares, difficult behavior, and then it kind of tells you when to seek medical advice. I think it's talking about if you're still having problems after 4 weeks or something, which is quite common for a lot of things. they're like, oh well, just see if it goes away in like a month. But they did that for they say that for other stuff as well. So I'm moving on to the treatments now, and I'll put the links in the description to their website for both. So treatment, sorry. First is assessment and active monitoring. So they want to make sure you actually have it and diagnose you, and then have you monitor it for a certain amount of time to make sure it's still there, because it might just go away off its own accord. Next is psychological therapies. They talk about IAPT. I've not done that myself. I have applied to jobs like for IAPT, but I've not had that treatment myself. The next is CBT, which is what I chose to try, and I've got a free resource video, and it will give you the link, and you can do some yourself. It has everything you need to do it yourself, but if you want to talk to a professional as well, that's cool. And then it has eye movement desensitization and reprocessing. I've not done that, but I mean, maybe you can look into it while making eye movements. Yeah, I've not done that, but you can look into it. Obviously, support and advice. So they've listed different charities here that, depending on what happened to you, they can support you, which is, I guess, nice to have someone to talk to, and maybe someone who can relate to what happened to you. And then medicine, obviously, looks like they got sertraline, which is antidepressant, SSRI. I don't take medication, but I mean, I guess if you feel like it helps you or you might need it, then that's great. And then they talk about helping children and young people and having giving them a CBT. So for me, I just found this after the fact, all this stuff. But I thought the NHS might be a good way to summarize it, and CBT for the treatment part is what I used. So I can talk more about that even if I can't give you more advice on the rest of it. As for the symptoms, I definitely have a couple of these symptoms, apart from the avoidance and emotional numbing. So yeah, I'll put the links down. I guess like in the movies, you see the army people with the PTSD and stuff, and I guess that people like go for other stuff as well. So I suppose you can still get PTSD from other events, especially if they're traumatic ones. But yeah, hopefully, if feel stressed or you think you might have PTSD, maybe this will help you, or maybe you can do some reading, or maybe you can even talk to your GP. But yeah, hopefully it helps. I'll put the links for the symptoms and the treatments on the NHS website. Then yeah, feel free to just have a look and go from there. And I might even put a CBT workbook link in there as well, which is really useful. Cool. All right, thanks for listening.